Are you struggling to see on foggy maps? Have you tried everything in the settings menu and nothing seems to help? Now that the Nvidia drivers have updated to support Helldivers, we now have access to filters. I'm Command Line Vulpine, and in this video, I'll show you how to use the best filter settings for Helldivers 2 that I've found for improving vision. If you've never used an Nvidia filter before, you can bring up the menu by pressing Alt and Z, and then pressing the Game Filter button. From there, if you go to these 1, 2, and 3 over on the left, you can start putting filters in. Right now I have one set to our finished settings, which I'll show you how to get to in a moment. And of course, it's good to know that you can always just press the off button over here, so you can take a look at the difference between what your filters have done and what the game normally looks like. If the filter isn't coming up, you'll have to make sure that GeForce Experience is on and up to date. You can check for updates here. You also might have to go deeper into your settings and make sure that the in-game overlay is enabled. Otherwise, you won't be able to press Alt-Z to bring it up. So to get started on our filters, your best friend for filters is the details filter. If you want, you could just turn this on and leave. That'd be the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed. No, we're going to go into more details of how to make it look even better. But your details filter, if you're playing any game that you're having trouble on, this is the one to turn on. It'll just help with any game. The one setting within the details filter, because most of these filters have multiple settings, is turn off the bloom. The bloom is actually, it makes things worse, as you can see, to have it on, so we want to bring that down. Now, what we're going to bring it to match my pre-assigned filter I've made over here, is we're going to bring sharpen to 50, clarity to 70, and turn HDR toning off. That'll make things look a little darker, but we're going to turn on some other filters that are going to brighten things back up. We don't want to completely destroy our visual quality. It's very easy to do so. It might improve our vision to do so. However, we don't want the game to look so ugly that it's just not fun to play, you know. And the best way to avoid that is to avoid putting on too many filters that overlap on top of each other, like too many brightness filters and vice versa. But as you can see here, we go into the back of the ship, which is one of the better places to see how well you're cutting into fog without actually landing. If we just compare having the details filter on and having it off, it looks like someone put Vaseline on our screen when we switch it back to off. But we're not here for half measures, so let's move on to some more settings. The next filter I find most helpful is to turn on the color filter. Obviously, this doesn't really look right. It's actually just messing with the color tint and stuff, which we don't want that. We don't want to change how the game actually looks. What we want to do is we just want to bring up vibrance. This will just make colors pop more, which I find helps on things like seeing the robot's glowing red eyes or the glowing green bits on bugs, things like that. It also helps with locating like stim packs and samples and stuff, anything that has color to it. Bringing the vibrance filter up will help. We'll just take that to 26 just so we don't completely blow it out. The next filter I like is Sharpen Plus. But we have to be pretty careful with this one. As you can see, now my screen is like strobing. That isn't just your imagination. That's happening. We need to lower our intensity down to like 5%. Even on like 5%, you can sometimes still see it do this. I find this is low enough where you don't really see it happening. But the main thing we want here is to crank up our texture detail. We're going to take this up to 30%. You can kind of see the effect of texture detail better over like here by the Super Earth symbol. As you can see, with it's what it looks like on default, and then with increased texture detail, you can see it even better. The order of which your filters are applied does matter. As you can see here, actually I have color first, followed by the details, and then followed by the Sharpen Plus. And then the final filter we're going to add is the brightness and contrast filter. Let's just go ahead and move that to the bottom now. Now this is the one I was talking about, sort of stacks with some of the other settings that we avoided cranking up. This filter has a lot of settings, so I kind of save it as like a final tuning steps. Once again, just the bottom 3 is probably enough to get by. Let's bring everything to 0 or as close to 0 as it lets us for a moment. Third thing we'll adjust is highlights. It's sort of one of the simpler ones to see what's happening. It's sort of like bloom, where it makes the indoor lights more intense.
Must submit weekly urine sample by 0400.
It's sort of like the bloom, where it makes the lighting more intense, as far as like coming out of like directional lights like this one back here is the easiest one to see. The highlights filter is a bit of a double-edged sword. You can see it is illuminating some darker spaces back there. However, it also illuminates the fog more. And what you'll find is anything that makes fog brighter is a huge pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it to just like a minus 50%. So we're not completely getting rid of the highlights, but we're bringing them down quite a bit. Shadows is a weird one. You'd think it'd be the opposite of highlights, but it's not quite. It's a little bit more like a brightness slider, but the axis is flipped. It's a bit of a win-lose slider, so I personally wouldn't mess with it too much. I'd probably just leave it at 0%. If you might put it at minus 100, everything's bright, including, once again, brighter fog. Make everything too dark, everything's too dark. So it doesn't really help us that much. Gamma and exposure are both fairly similar settings. Just kind of make things brighter and darker. We're going to take these up to 20%, or as close as it'll let us. I don't know why it won't let you get to like exact numbers sometimes. No shadows, get out of here. I was going to say that now these are matched, but actually they are not. What I'm missing is the contrast. Contrast, we're going to take that one up to 50. This is another one where cranking it really high can help, but making it too high can also just make it look too ugly. So there you go. This is what I've found to be the best settings visually. But here is a better example of like how it can actually harm the looks of things. Like people start to look kind of strange with the filters all on. She looks a lot better with them off. You can also see through the fog up to the bridge here. You can see it's almost like depth of field is on when you don't have it on. Like in my settings, just the game settings, I do have depth of field off and bloom off. And yet, when you turn the filters off, it actually turns them off, it feels like. Another thing to make note of when you mess around with these filters is for some reason some UI elements become harder to read. Like as you can see here, it's a little hard to tell what the stats of these weapons actually are. Well, you can see the numbers, of course, but you can't see the bars very well. We open up our filters and turn them on and off. You can see it's much easier to see which colors are actually filled in and which ones are not. So it doesn't actually improve all vision. And what I find this messes with the most is being able to see your key inputs for calling in a stratagem. So let's go take these into action.
Helldiver, take command of the galaxy's liberation.
Now, our settings might actually make incredibly bright planets like Durgan worse, so we'll do that later. Our main goal was to make it easier to see through fog. And for better or for worse, the fog planets over here have been liberated, so we gotta go deal with some Terminids if we would like to see some fog.
FTL jump successful. Hellpods primed. Mission coordinates locked. Hellpod launch initiated.
Whoa. I like instantly landed.
All the galaxy looks to you for salvation. Let nothing stand in the way of liberty.
Turns out Hellmeyer looks a lot like Durgan. But smoke here might actually make things easier. I gotta lay down because it made my alt keep my dive key, and so pressing Alt Z is going to cause me to dive if I'm standing up. Here you go. As you can see, vision is dramatically improved by having our filters on. I'm going to play through this mission.
Found something.
And maybe speed up the footage, but also bounce back and forth between no filter and this filter. So staring into the sun on really bright planets like this actually can make things worse. But as you can see, it's also only things that are super distant. Up close, we can still see better. Maybe another good place to look at the filter differences. No turrets. What's happening to? Did you know about the turrets, man? No, that was a brute man. Okay. Ooh. We went on easy, but I don't remember the bugs being quite this easy to kill before. Just want turrets, man. I want turrets. I think it's because these are the lower level version of the hunters. That was a full run hunter. Jeez. Nature close much on those things? Moving on. See, looking away from the sun, it actually is not really like making things worse, even though the planet is still bright. In fact, I would say it's definitely making things easier to see back there. Must be a patrol coming in. Yep. I can't see. Let's see if we can. Ah, shit. Yeah, no, that doesn't help. Still just looks better with it on.
How'd you like a taste of
Really, the turret's gonna kill the one that did the bug breach.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
As you can see, even though things feel much brighter with the filters on, it does just is easier to see.
ETA T-minus 1 minute 30
In like 90% of cases, like if you look over here, back here, you can definitely see better. In the places where we can't see as well, we already wouldn't really be able to see anything back there.
another step towards total eradication.
A night mission, you say? A night mission, yes. Most indubitably, we can do a night mission. Do you just land faster on easy missions?
All the
This isn't
galaxy
nighttime.
looks to you for salvation.
Or is it?
Let nothing stand in the way of liberty.
It's supposed to be nighttime. What about in these fog dens, whatever these are? Yeah, we can see better. Particularly, like, look back here, we can see some rock structures that you basically can't see with the filters off. By the way, look at how little these lights bother me. Actually, they seem fine off, too. Come on. I've seen people complain about the lights, and then I never noticed. I never had any problem myself, so I figured it was my filters saving me, but perhaps a different setting is helping me. Perhaps those people have bloom on or something.
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
I wonder if that is the case, actually. Hold on. Oh, not game filters. Options. Oh shit. It's a bad time to... Gallon gun, you're dead or whatever? Look how hard it is to see with our filters and stuff off, man. And depth of field on and
ETA T-minus
bloom.
30 seconds.
I actually can't see like 10 inches in front of me.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds.
I also can't afford to pause and change it back.
Liberty.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. How to use Nvidia filters to see a lot better in your game. Obviously, there's very specific conditions where it doesn't help, like staring into the sun on a desert planet. But in any other situation, it makes a dramatically good difference. I hope you all enjoyed this video or found it helpful. If you did, remember to hit the like button. Keep the conversation going in the comments and subscribe if you would like to see more. And until next time, I hope you have a good day.